What happens when they don't want you to change? When you commit to investing in your growth, a really surprising and unsettling side effect can be that the people you thought would support and encourage you don't.
Sometimes it might make you pull back and stop altogether, which is no way to live a happy, healthy life. So in this episode, we explain why it's happening and how to deal with people who might be pulling you down. Because the truth is, this is your life and you deserve to thrive.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello, welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. How are you all doing? It's really sunny in London today.
It is the last burst of summer, I think.
We keep saying that.
We do keep saying that. I'm sure it is. There's rain forecast for tomorrow.
So, how have you all been doing? I know that James will probably want to talk to you about what he's coming up next week.
It's very pertinent to this podcast, actually.
It is, actually.
Because this podcast, we're going to talk about when they don't want you to change. This is what you can expect, sadly, sometimes, and what to do about it when people close to you don't like your growth, and it's quite a common thing.
Yeah, we see this all the time with clients. We thought, particularly the last few weeks, James and I have both been coaching clients one-to-one individually, and we have both said, obviously it's client confidentiality, but between us we have been noticing that a lot of people are experiencing their loved ones, people around them, friends, family, even work colleagues, that as they're embarking on this journey of self-development and change, and they're investing in themselves, the people around them seem to have a lot to say about it. And it can be a really surprising and upsetting side effect when those people around you don't necessarily want you or seem to want you to change.
Yeah, so we'll be talking all about that and how to handle it. But where that's linked to what Claire is alluding to is because I am launching next week my Rise Men's Challenge. It's specifically designed for midlife men. And over 4 days, starting on Tuesday the 21st, we'll be doing just like short little tasks each day, supporting each other in a Facebook group. And I've spent months working on this, actually. There's a whole program behind it, but I've taken just some key elements. I want to keep it short so you're getting rid of that, I don't have time excuse. But this is going to be actionable stuff that you can use straight away to start making an appreciable difference in your life. So if you haven't signed up yet, do go and sign up. There'll be emails coming out if you have signed up, and it will be taking place in a private Facebook group.
Yeah, we've had a really beautiful response to this. I put a post out, and what's really lovely is a lot of women have come back on my post saying that they've passed it on to the midlife men in their life that they know, because it is incredibly, incredibly needed. I'm not going to go into all the stats again, but midlife men do seem to struggle in silence, and James really, really wants to support midlife men to expand and grow and have a safe space to talk about what's going on for them.
Oh, I do indeed.
So that's exciting. And one other thing, we have finally launched our dates
to
the general public for our first Marbella retreat in 18 months. It'll be in November. So if you're looking for some winter sun on your face, sand between your toes, and the most luxurious, amazing settings with obviously us, which is amazing in itself, then that you can find all the details of that on 38degreesnorth.com. That's 38degreesnorth.com, all written, and I'll put the details in the show notes as well.
Hey, we can't wait for that.
Can't wait. So excited. So, back to the subject of this podcast. So, we know actually so many of you can relate to this, because you say it all the time. It's something that comes up, and it's really hurtful when, as we said, those people around you, the ones that you thought would want to help you rise to help you shine, to support you and become the best possible version of yourself. When all of a sudden you start stepping in the direction of that new improved version of yourself, it can be really, really upsetting and surprising to see those people criticize you, shame you, embarrass you, remind you of the person that you were, not the person that you are becoming. So we're going to go through why that happens. But, it can make you doubt yourself altogether. A lot of us have a hard time enough without owning a critic, self-sabotage and that self-identity pulling us back as we move towards a new, improved version of ourselves. But those people constantly reminding you of what you were and not what you're becoming can be really hard. So just wanting to say it happens all the time. It's not something that you are doing wrong. It's not that they know better. And again, that can be something you're thinking, they love me. They want the best for me. Why are they doing this? They must know better. Maybe they're just trying to save me from making a horrible mistake and I am going to embarrass myself here. So just to say that, it does happen to all of us. I know it's happened to me. I know it's happened to James in the past.
So from an evolutionary perspective, there's a really interesting theory on this. Is as human beings, and this is not a theory, this is actually fact. As human beings, we are hardwired to recognise differences in our environment, differences in people, because going back to our caveman days, anything that was suddenly different was a potential threat. So there's loads of fascinating study on this. You can put people in things and you slightly change something and the focus will go on that, and you can introduce, magicians use this, right? Sleight of hand. So you get the focus on one thing, you can change something else without people really noticing because they're so focused on the new potential threat. And this is what happens when someone's growing, changing. Their work colleagues, their family, their partners can perceive it as a potential threat because it's just simply because it's a change to the status quo, which we're hardwired to just wanted to maintain all the time.
Well, this is where people pleasing comes from as well. So when we're outside of the norm, when we're outside of our communities, and we put ourselves in a position where we are stepping up and we are moving forward, and everyone else is kind of being left behind because of the reasons we're going to go into. It's going to be natural that you are out there and that you keep wanting to be pulled in because you do feel ostracized, you do feel unfamiliar, you do feel unsafe, and those people will potentially start pushing you away for the reasons James just said. It's evolution. So just really, really important to say as well, it is not necessarily because these people don't love you and don't want the best for you. We'll go into more detail about that in a minute. But in essence, it's because we build, as human beings, we all of us build our reality and perception of the world and ourselves through our relationships with others. And when those familiar perceptions, which make us feel incredibly safe, are shaken, it can force those relationships to change. Sometimes we might have to go through some really, really hard times with those relationships. We may even need to let people go. The reality is we might need to let those people go. If they keep pulling you back, resentment's going to build anyway. So they're going to keep pulling you back, which damages the relationship anyway. Or if, for example, family members, we're not going to want to leave those necessarily. We still want to maintain a relationship with them, but we might need to understand how to set better boundaries. We've done a podcast on this in the past. So setting boundaries and coming from a place of power and knowing what you're going for, why you're going for it, and that you deserve it and you're enough, helps you create those better boundaries and stop saying yes to everyone else and no to yourself.
I think it's worth saying here as well, sometimes the person or people doing this might even be unaware to some degree that they're doing it.
Yeah.
Or maybe they kind of know they're doing it, but they're not really sure of the reasons why. I mean, classic example of this, if you ever gone on a kind of health journey, whatever, you probably always got that one family member or friend that's always like, oh, come on, let's go have a drink. Or, you'll go and they'll be like, come on, have a bit of cake. Oh, you're not looking so well at the moment. Why don't you eat a bit more? And it might not be, sometimes sadly it can be that they're deliberately trying to sabotage you. But a lot of the time it can just be this I don't like the change that I'm seeing, and it's showing up what I don't like in myself sometimes. So I'm gonna be that one going, I want you back how you were. I want you to sink that another glass of wine with me like you used to.
Yeah.
Rather than, you'll be up going for a run tomorrow morning while I'm nursing my hangover and I'm going to feel bad about myself.
Yeah, it's almost, sometimes if you become aware of this, you can actually see that it's there in a dialogue out at you. So this is where we've talked about projection before. It's actually there in a dialogue, there in a chatter being projected out at you because they're not, sadly, aware enough to know that these wounds and this lack of courage to change themselves is actually coming out at you in their dialogue. So just be aware of that. If you are changing and moving towards something that you really want, that you know will make you healthier and happier, just be aware of what those people are saying around you and think, are they saying that to me, or are they actually saying that to themselves potentially? So, the key is never ever, I know it's easier said than done, but please never be shamed or guilt-driven into stopping what makes you happy. Because like I said before, you will only, if you stop thinking that these people know better, there'll still be that empty hole within you. You still won't be reaching your fullest potential. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to expand, to be the healthiest, happiest, most fulfilled versions of ourselves. And there'll be this hole within you and you will start feeling resentful. The relationship will be damaged anyway. So, we're going to go through those top tips in a bit. We've got 10 top tips for you, obviously, but communication is a massive thing, massive, massive thing. If you're just resentful, then the relationship is damaged regardless of whether you go for it or not.
Yeah, I mean, I'd echo that. Like, being open and explaining, like, the reasons why you're doing what you're doing and what your goal is may help the other person understand and moderate their behaviour towards you.
Yeah, because like James said, they might not be aware.
Yeah.
They might not be aware. And just remember as well, relationships, friendships, they do go through seasons. It's a myth that we just stay, in the same way. We build, especially at midlife, we build this whole personality structure around us, our whole life, having things, getting things, achieving things, success. And once we've got them, we put them on like armour, and we're really afraid of losing them, understandably. So we hold on to them really, really tight, but actually some things are meant to flow in and out. So do surrender sometimes to those things and relationships that are there for seasons. We're not necessarily meant to have those people in our lives for the rest of our lives. Some people are, but one of the things I would say is it's like seasons. Things do come and go. And if they're not working for you anymore and they're really, really bringing you down and not allowing you to be the best version of yourself, I would suggest you do look at that. So, a bit of research that came across.
Interesting research here. So, researchers found that when people had lower clarity about their own self-concept, their own self-identity, they generally were not as supportive when their partner changed.
So this is around relationships, romantic relationships.
Because they're essentially confused, right? They don't have a strong self-identity themselves. So when they see someone else actually stepping into a new self-identity that's more defined, more goal-orientated, they can, in a sense, panic a little bit. They concluded it's because the individuals worried that changes in their partner meant that they would have to change too, or risk losing their partner, right? So without a solid idea of who they were, because their self-identity wasn't well defined on their own, they're unsettled and not knowing how their partners would redefine them.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm going to use an example of you and I.
Oh.
Because, James and I have been, if you listen to Our Relationship Secrets podcast, we're really open and vulnerable. There are a lot of changes, haven't we? We've been through a lot of changes together as individuals as well. We've grown ourselves, got rid of a lot of baggage, done a lot of healing within ourselves, and grown and expanded. And sometimes I have been worried that might push James away, because I'm worried that me growing might shine a light on some of the things that he might not be happy with. And he might feel like he's losing me. He might feel like I'm drifting away as I go and explore these things that are really important to me. But actually, here's the thing, communicating with him. It's taken me a while, But communicating with him about why they're really, really important, that he is safe with me, that, you know, it's not meaning that I'm going off. It's actually going to enrich our relationship. It's going to enrich who I am. And they say, don't they, when you love something and it's yours, set it free. If it comes back, it was always yours to begin with. If it doesn't come back, it wasn't yours to begin with. And I think, you know, people do hold on in relationships, particularly really, really tight, and friendships really, really tight, because they are afraid of what them becoming the highest version of themselves might mean for that relationship too. So it works both ways. That person who's being left behind might feel really anxious, but you are going to feel really anxious as well as you step into this highest version of yourself, because you're afraid that might happen, that they might think that they're losing you.
That's a big thing. It's a big human fear, right? That, you know, the person you're in a partnership with, in a relationship with, is not going to understand you, not like the new you. And flip side, you'll be scared. You know, this is what this research is saying. Be like, you're scared about who your partner is potentially becoming and what that means for you in terms of having to level up or be left. And that's what it can come down to sometimes.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you as well. Like, I built that up into a really big thing with some of the stuff that I've been doing and my retreat that I went on recently. All this amazing stuff that I've been wanting to explore and get involved in. I was building up and I was projecting my stuff onto James about what he might think about me going off and doing those things. And then I became resentful. But how can I be resentful when I wasn't really communicating it and stepping into my power so I could become even a better human being for this relationship and for all of our clients and everything that we do? So, you know, just to kind of recap really, you know, it's not necessarily because they don't love you, don't want the best for you, don't want you to grow. It's because it shines a light on what they're not happy with and what they might not have the courage to change right now. They are triggered by your commitment to yourself because they haven't been ready to make such a commitment.
And they don't want to lose you. You know, they're scared of what they see happening because that is evolutionary hardwiring. There's like a little alarm bell set ringing. They want to connect with you over a certain thing you do together. It might be your friend that you always go for a drink with and suddenly you don't want to drink anymore, for example. It's human nature to cling to familiarity because we use external validation to form and confirm our perception of ourselves. It can be scary when we see those who we see as our foundation shifting in some ways. We've got to face the question of whether the changes we see will alter our future, or worse, break the connection with the person who means so much to us. Exactly,
and they might not understand. We assume, like I was just giving you an example there about James and myself, like they might not understand what's this, you know, when you feel like you're being suffocated or choked and, you know, you're being pulled back and that creates that resentment. Well, they might not even know what your thoughts, feelings, desires and aspirations are. And people often fear what they don't understand. So just be really careful as well that you're not pushing them away and not involving them. They might really not understand why it's important to you and what it's going to how it's going to benefit their relationship with you, like what it's going to give you as a person, how it's going to make you happier, more fulfilled, less resentful. So don't presume that they know what you're going for and why you're going for it. So, you know, if you change, it just means that may be feeling something that they don't like. You're rocking their reality of the world. And truth be told, this is just human nature. It doesn't mean to say you need to get rid of all your friends and tell your family to get lost. But we would suggest you do an inventory. And if those energy vampires aren't supporting you, we're going to give you some top tips. If those energy vampires aren't supporting you and don't want you to grow, and you can really see a pattern of behaviour of them shaming you, making you feel bad, not wanting the best for you, then you need to have a look at that and think, how is that holding me back? Do I want those relationships to keep holding me back? Because what's the cost of that? Another few years down the line when I haven't grown because of these people, what's those relationships going to be like then? What's the cost?
Yeah. It's about, you know, just being open and keeping the communication channels open at the end of the day, you know. And if you've got someone who say, look, I want to do this because I want to be healthier and my goal is to do this. And they're like, okay, I get that. I'm going to try and support you. Of course, I'd love you to come drinking and eating cake with me, but I get what you're doing, so I'll support you in that. That's amazing. Then it's a win-win. what you need to look out for are those people like you explain the goal and they're just like, well, and then they're just like, come for a drink, eat that cake. Yeah.
Well, the sad reality
then
is,
you need to start thinking about where you draw your boundaries on those relationships.
Exactly. And I think the sad reality is, I say this to some of my clients, they actually might be envious and jealous of you, and it might be eating them up. And nothing you do is ever going to change that. And it's not just you they're probably envious and jealous at. It's probably a whole host of people. It's probably people on social media that they're looking at, making them feel less than they actually are. Because here's the truth. We are all capable of massive change. We all are. It's just that you shining a light on the fact that you're doing it and committing to it, they might be really jealous of your courage.
Well, actually, just reminded me of a tale. And someone we were working with... was getting fantastic results actually, but she had someone at work that had always been a bit off with her, and this person at work just kind of upped the level of snarky comments like, oh, are you starving yourself, oh, aren't you a bit old to be that, and this went on for some weeks, and of course this person found it quite hard to deal with, but kept to their course. And the amazing thing was, like a few weeks down the line, this person came to him and said, can I just ask, what is it you're doing?
What is it you're doing?
Because you seem really happy and it's working and you look fantastic. So, it was this kind of like, I don't like what I'm saying. I don't like the way this person's changing. I'm kind of envious of it. So I'm going to like be snarky about it. But then it came full circle to like, actually want to know what you're doing because it's really working. You seem really happy.
Yeah, so don't assume that they're always going to be like that. Don't assume that they're always going to be a bit snarky and a bit bitter and a bit jealous. Actually, they might just need a little bit of time to get used to it and actually just stay with it. Go for it. Just follow your instinct, because actually, eventually, those people that might be being snarky and like jealous will actually be inspired by your continued commitment to it. So in the long term, it's not nice for you, but you could be helping so many more people, touching so many more lives with your journey and just staying on track.
Right, let's get into these top tips. 10 top tips to deal with this. 1, be careful who you share your goals and your changes with, right? Because you probably know off the top of your head, you think, oh, if I do this, I know so-and-so will be on board with it. Oh, they would be they'd be a cheerleader in my corner. Might be other people that like, I'm not sure. Might be other people like, I know they will definitely try and derail me. So just be discerning about who you share it with.
Absolutely. Explain why you want to do it. So those people you have chosen in your inner circle, explain why you want to do it. Absolutely. Don't assume that they know. And that leads on nicely to number 3.
Keep the communication open. And this is key as well. So, like if you ever had someone, or you feel like someone's withholding something from you, you know how that can gnaw away at you. So just be open and explain what's going on.
Yeah, and actually, number 4 is involve them, but actually maybe involve them in some of the actions that you're taking. Don't be all, secret squirrel, doing your little things and not involving them. When they say, oh, what are you up to? Just say, oh, nothing. It's really, people don't want that barrier up. So be really, really careful and involve them where you can if they are willing.
Surround yourself with like-minded people, and this is so true. I say your vibe attracts your tribe, but also your tribe will define your vibe. If you are deciding you want to be like go on a health kick, but you hang out with people who go to the pub 5 nights a week, your tribe is probably going to try and grab you back. If you find like then a group of people who love to go and work out outdoors 5 times a week instead, you're probably going to level up. Find like-minded people. We're so lucky that in our community we have like this great community of people that are so supportive of each other. Even meet up, they're like friends now. It's amazing. So yeah, and there's a massive value. They say that you are defined by the people you spend the most time with in your closest circle. So have a look around and see if your circle is aligned with where you want to go.
Absolutely. And along those same lines, get a coach. So I did actually a live on this morning. People say, oh, I can't do it on my own. Why can't I do it on my own? I've got a plethora of information in front of me, but why can't I do this on my own? It's because there are so many people out there now that have trodden the path just before you, and those people will inspire you. They won't challenge you and make you feel guilty. Well, they should challenge you, but in a good way. They won't make you feel bad, guilty, shame you, make you feel like you're doing something wrong. These people, coaches, will champion you. They have done it themselves, and therefore they don't feel threatened by what you are doing. So coaches are amazing in that sense, because there's that non competitiveness. They just really want to help you. A good coach will really, really want to see you succeed in the ways that they have. They won't, shame you, embarrass you, and make you feel guilty. So getting a really good coach so you don't feel like you're doing it on your own, because you can't necessarily piece all this stuff together yourself. And actually having a proven method to do it with someone is really, really powerful, and they'll keep you on track. They'll actually be the one person you can go to when other people are being negative Nancy's.
Don't project your stuff on them. Like, you don't want them trying to derail you. Don't start telling them what they should and they shouldn't be doing, because you're following a new path.
Yeah, actually.
Respect goes both ways.
Yeah, and don't project what you think they're thinking out into the world. Just be really, really careful. We've said about their projection on you, but just be really careful about what you're thinking they're thinking. Make sure your ego, this is number 8, make sure your ego doesn't get involved. Don't think you're better. Just because, again, this is about being humble. Stay humble. Don't think you're better than them because you've committed and invested in this and that you're getting results. Everyone is equal. Everyone's just a little bit of a step ahead of certain people, but everyone is on a level playing field. So don't ever let your ego get involved.
Set boundaries. This is so, so important. Learn how to say no. Every time you say yes to something you don't really want to do, you are saying no to yourself. And it doesn't mean being completely selfish or rude. Just, know what's best for you and live by it.
Absolutely. And the last one is stay courageous. Stay free, stay courageous, stay in faith of where you're going. And here's the thing, certain circumstances and people will sadly fall away. That's the reality check. I would like to say it's different, but it's not. It's happened in my life so many times. I've had to set boundaries with my lovely family. I've had to set boundaries with friendships and relationships, but also I've lost certain friendships and groups and things that I used to do because of the person I'm becoming. But I know that if I don't do that and I don't keep moving on, it's only my life that will suffer, and only I am responsible for how it rolls out and how I move forward in it. So, and I know I'll only be resentful if I look back and see those people that I presume have kept me locked into my old self. But actually, it's always about a choice. You get to choose whether these people define you or whether you define yourself. So stay courageous and stay free. Stay courageous. Yes. I love that. What a note to finish on there. I hope you enjoyed that. We'd love to hear your thoughts. team@themidlifementors.com. You can also, like Claire said, find details of our Marbella November Midlife Retreat on 38degreesnorth.com. I'm sure you'll find posts about it across our various social media as well. And if you haven't already, join our community on Facebook, the Midlife Mentors community. Just search for that, find it. We'd love to see you in there. I will put links as well to all of those things in the show notes, and also James's Rise Challenge. Midlife Men, come join me next week. Yes, let's do this. It's going to be fabulous, a real safe place to connect. So sending you lots and lots of love, and have a lovely week until we speak to you next time. Bye. Bye. Yeah. You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis. We'd love to hear from you, so drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions. And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors. Yeah.